Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the time is now 12 o'clock, and at this time I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Town Center Committee on Friday, November 19th. We're meeting in the Matthew Thornton Room at the Town Hall, and this is our, as I said, the meeting for November 19th. I will take the minutes unless someone would like to help. I accept all the help I can get, and Kyle has been good enough to send did you send that to everybody or
No.
just, okay, I'll forward it later. He sent us a little report of his work, so I have it. It makes minute taking much easier, and that's appreciated. The first order of business, before we start our business today, I would like to introduce everyone to Karen Contos, and she's been appointed by the town council to be a member of this committee, and she's fairly new to town, a year.
Yeah, or a year and a half.
A year and a half, good. Take credit for all of it. And Karen, maybe you'd like to tell the council, well, first of all, let everybody introduce themselves if you haven't met them before. I know you came to our last meeting, and we met then, but some people weren't here. So this is, go ahead, Bill, tell her.
Bill Wilkes, and I've been in town since 1986.
Kyle Fox, I'm the Public Works Director.
Yeah.
Does not live in town.
Okay. Okay, I'm Nelson Disco, I'm the chairman, I've been in town since 1967. So,
And I'm Karen Freed, and I've been in town since 1988.
I'm Bill Cummings, and I've been in town since 2003.
mhm.
And Karen, I've been our family, and I've been around since '71, 50-year anniversary in August.
Okay. So, tell us just a little bit about yourself, or tell the public as well. This is all being videotaped
Right.
and will be replayed over and over.
Oh, well, my husband and I moved here around a year and a half ago from Arizona, Mesa, Arizona. We've moved around a lot, though, so that wasn't our home, really. We were only there 5 years or so. But we moved out here. We've only lived really on the west side of the country. But my daughter, Erica, I have 2 daughters. She works in Boston. And then I have a daughter who lives in Arizona also. So we figured we would, spend most of the time out here and then go to Arizona in the winter, maybe when it gets a little too cold. But of course, I'll make all the meetings, so I don't have to worry about that.
Good.
But it's nice to hear that you all have lived here for so long, and we're just really loving it, enjoying it. A very different environment. My city of Mesa, where I'm from, over 500,000 people lived in that city, compared to 28,000 people here, so very different. But we're loving the outdoor activities, just really enjoying it. And everyone's been very nice. Been kind of hard with COVID, meeting people.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm retired from financial services, and I would like to volunteer, so that's why I chose to be on this committee. And
Okay.
Excellent. Welcome.
Volunteers are always welcome. Right. Yeah, good. Okay, thank you, Karen, and welcome to the committee. Our next order of business today is approval of minutes for September the 24th. I sent a copy around, and is there any questions, comments, or improvements that anyone would like to suggest, or we would make a motion to approve them as they are? I didn't get any comments on them. This is September 24th meeting. Somebody like
I
Karen?
move to accept the meeting of September 24th minutes.
Okay, thank you. And do we have a second to that?
I wasn't here, I don't think, but can I second it? I will second it.
Let me see here. Absent, yeah, you were absent from that meeting.
I guess I'm qualified to second it.
I'll consider you qualified. Any discussion or comments on the motion to approve? All those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
Aye.
Any
Abstention.
abstention?
And I'm gonna
Okay.
say, I voted yes, but I meant to abstain.
Okay.
So there's somebody extra here.
Right, okay. And, folks, okay. Okay, that brings us now to our order of business, and the next thing I had on the agenda to discuss was the results of the annual report to the town council, which I gave on October the 28th. It's still available for anybody who missed it. I think they keep playing those for a month or so. But I would say it was well received, but silently received. We didn't get any feedback from the council, and I wanted to bring that to Finley's attention. And I did mention that we would very much like to have our annual contribution to sidewalks continue that was canceled last year. And nobody said no, but nobody said yes either. And it just kind of, the meeting kind of just ended. And I was thinking of following up with a letter to just remind them of what I asked for, in case it's probably swept under the rug or forgotten by now. And maybe Finley, I'm glad you're here, Finley, to defend your,
I'm glad I'm here.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, there was no real discussion, but it's something that I know we're gonna be talking about. I'm gonna make sure that the conversation begins, absolutely. We haven't talked about it this year because it hasn't really been an agended item, and budget's right around season's around the corner.
yeah.
And that's when I believe those things will happen. What we had wanted to do, if you recall, is we had anticipated for the next 4 or 5 years, I think it was 4 years,
Yeah,
taking $200,000 out of the unreserved fund surplus and utilizing it for that. But there's little uncertainties and all, had some people concerned about it, and so it was, it detoured a little bit. We did get Woodbury started and almost completed, which was the first one on the list. And the next one's Twin Bridge Road,
was true, yes.
and so that, if that's still the desire of the committee, that's what we'll be pushing forward, and we'll.
Would it be of any benefit to you or to have another repeat letter sent, just reminding and asking for consideration of that again?
It would be a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
You might want to push the time, actually, we're almost at budget time, but so, I was gonna say maybe put it a little bit closer to budget time, because it's fresh in
Yeah.
the years at that point.
I'll draft something up and send it around and see what the,
I would encourage that.
good, yeah, I think it can't hurt, if I say it nicely.
Squeaky wheel.
Well, they know.
Yeah, yeah,
They know the desire, for sure.
exactly, yeah,
If I may, Nelson.
yeah,
So the capital improvement program plan
yes,
is, the draft has been prepared. It's
Yeah.
with the finance department now.
yeah,
I believe at possibly the next planning board meeting, then the following town council meeting, town manager McCallie is gonna present the CIP
uh-huh,
to both of those boards.
yeah,
And we have included that sidewalk
good,
for Twin Bridge in the proposed CIP.
okay.
So it'll get some attention there as well.
Yeah, good, good, thank you for that. and
Sure.
Thank you for keeping that alive.
Sure.
I had one other thought as I was thinking about this in the letter, and as I see life has come back to the former card shop pizza man AKA Lebanese restaurant on the on the corner of Church Street and Route 3. They had some difficulties due to COVID, interrupted their cash flow or something. And this was approved by the planning board for a restaurant. It's going to be accessible mostly from the rear and from from above. And as that construction begins, I'm recalling that back in the day, when we were considering building the sidewalk from the library north to Wire Road, that was one of the little elements of that we postponed, because the issue that came up was the intersection with Church Street. And you remember that Church Street, and we at that time did a survey. We talked to all the people who lived on Church Street. We talked to the church on Church Street and the seniors and everybody, and got most of them to agree that, yeah, we really probably ought to discontinue the connection between Church Street and Route 3. That's that steep hill that comes down. There was one accident that I know of there where a kid was hit on a bicycle by a car that came down the hill. And so there was a safety issue. And to make it safe and make it so that you could make the sidewalk go across it, the most convenient thing to do was to discontinue Church Street. I don't think that's on the, we wrote a letter, we got the town safety committee involved, and we had the ducks in line, but the town council didn't feel they wanted to poke at it right then. I don't know how this committee feels, but if we're ever going to build that sidewalk, we're going to do something about that road. And maybe it's time to remind the council that this is something that, because it's in the council's hands, really, to discontinue that.
Do you think it's negative to the gentleman that's working on the restaurant? I mean, would he be against it, or?
No, I don't believe so. In fact, he's aware of it. I know he's aware of it because he came to the planning board for his approval, and he was told, and we have in front of his property, he's all set. We've got sidewalk reserved on his plan. There's no, they didn't get him to build a sidewalk, but there's space there for it between Route 3 and its buildings. There's going to be no parking there.
I mean, that's a little bit of a kamikaze thing when you come out of there if you use it.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it certainly would be a lot safer
Yeah.
to go back around the church and out onto Babuzik. Because that other thing is just in the wintertime, I don't know, with ice and snow and
Yeah.
everything, it's gotta be worse.
There's very few people who use it. It's used a lot on, well, the seniors, we got them involved, and they were sort of okay with it. There's always one person who doesn't like it, but the majority of the seniors, at that time, all right, there's probably a whole new gang of seniors in there now.
Well, there's no seniors in there now because I don't think they've been allowed back due to COVID. If you're talking the John O'Leary Center.
Yes, I was talking.
I don't think,
I don't know.
are people going there?
I think so.
I think,
Well, our
I think it
our
was open a few months
condominium
ago.
association just had its annual meeting there.
Okay,
We used it as a meeting room, but that's a one-night thing.
yeah.
But I don't think they're using it to the intensity that they did at one time before COVID.
Right.
It was definitely closed down for a period of time, but I want to say it was a few months ago that they were allowed back, but
Yeah. They may choose not to, but for whatever reason.
yeah.
But they were the biggest user, and then there's another group that uses it on Sunday mornings. They have a pretty large meeting there
Oh,
on Sunday mornings. But,
Steve Dembo's still the contact for that?
yes.
yes.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I could include something like this in my reminder letter as a thought to the council to say, hey, folks, remember this, attach a copy and.
That would be pretty easy to decommission, wouldn't it? I mean, from a standpoint of cost and all that sort of thing, wouldn't it, Kyle? I mean, I know everything costs money, but, I mean, to shut that road off?
Yeah, I don't know how much everyone wants to get into this. This is something we looked at pretty closely, probably 5 or 6 years ago. I forget now.
Yeah.
But we did, as Nelson said, we went to, we held some public hearings, we went to the Highway Safety Committee, and the recommendations were to discontinue it. To discontinue it, the one key thing that we'd have to do is make sure there's a proper turnaround at the end, keeping in mind that there are a number of abutters there, and dead-end roads are tough for the fire department, for the public works department. So whether it be a hammerhead or some kind of cul-de-sac.
Come through the library for safety.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
still have a throughway through the library.
Except that it's,
circular
the
flow.
library is one way up the hill. So, but we could work that detail out. So, as compared to some of our projects, correct, not very expensive.
That means lots of money.
No, I mean,
But-
literally, you could put a guardrail up and shut it off, I mean, but that doesn't mean you take the asphalt
Yes.
up, that costs
That's right,
money.
yeah.
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 Yeah, but if they close a road, they will do that. When it comes time to put the sidewalk, shut that road down, I'm assuming that is what is gonna happen.
Yeah.
They would make it so, I'm sure it'd be a green embankment and so on, they wouldn't just leave the asphalt.
Correct.
But the biggest
Yeah.
part is, as Kyle said, that turnaround, you've gotta be able to, get people to swing around and I can't remember the conversation specifically, but, there were a couple of people on, Church that didn't want, they weren't interested in it, as I recall.
Yeah.
And closing it down, so,
Yeah, there was definitely mixed response to it.
Yes, there was, but, and there was mixed response even from the church. There was one member of the church council, or whatever they're called, I don't remember exactly, but they were the governing body of the church, was okay with it. But then there were some members of the congregation who didn't like it. I mean, there's gonna be somebody who doesn't like it, but I don't see another way out of that dilemma, if you will. You can't build a sidewalk across that road the way it is. It's too pitched. And it's pitched right down to, probably violates all kinds of modern standards for.
You wouldn't be able to build that today, I don't think.
Hmm.
Sorry, my apologies. I forgot
Yeah,
to
and you're
turn
right,
it off.
Nelson, I think that's kind of how it was left. Everyone, I think, acknowledges
Yeah,
that to have an ADA accessible sidewalk on
yes,
Daniel Webster Highway
yeah,
would require
yeah,
something drastic to change,
yeah,
whether it's discontinuance or some other outside the box thinking. But something would definitively
Yeah.
have to happen.
yeah.
And given the slopes there aren't a lot of alternatives.
No, the slope is the issue, and of course, they've rebuilt the stone wall there, they've moved it back a little bit, they've done some work in that area.
Yeah.
If you notice the,
Yeah, they just put some retaining walls in.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think that wall, the concrete wall that they've poured, I think is a foundation for what will
Oh,
be
is
an
it?
outdoor deck like,
Oh,
part of the restaurant,
gotcha.
yeah. I don't remember, it's been a long time since.
It has been.
Well, I'll send something around for you to look at, and heads up to Finley, what we're asking
Perfect.
for. It probably will create some controversy, but we don't, we're open to suggestions for
We'll see how flush
alternatives.
things
but,
are.
That's what we're about, creating controversy, aren't we, Nelson?
Right.
And just please remember, Nelson, that on those kind of letters and votes, that I do abstain in my role.
Sure, yeah, yeah. Well, we're not taking a vote on it till I see it, but yeah, sure. Yeah, obviously, Kyle has a bit of a conflict in that. And maybe Finley does too, and I don't have objection if you want to abstain from that.
Yeah, I don't know how I've handled that in the past. I don't recall.
What?
I don't recall how I've handled it
Oh,
in
you
the
went right
past.
along with us.
And I probably will.
Okay, well then, I'll draft something up and send it out, and and thank you for putting the Twin Bridge Road sidewalk back into the CIP. That'll be good. Yeah. I'm sorry that Matt isn't here because he has some sidewalk that's also going into their CIP this year for the Elgara Drive. The implementation of the master plan for the school is really what it's part of. And that's the sidewalk includes the sidewalk on Elgara Drive. So we'll get after him and find out why he didn't come.
They have, Steve Keach has been brought in to work with, I can't remember, was it $80,000 they put aside
Yeah.
for
Yep.
the master plan study?
Yes,
And he made a presentation to the Planning and Building Committee 3 weeks ago, maybe.
oh yeah,
And he's putting an entire piece together that will be including the sidewalks, and that, he had pointed out that will be the first piece to hopefully happen with the
Nice.
master plan.
yeah. Okay, I knew that was in process, and I just didn't know where it was.
Yep, just kind of began, I don't.
Yeah.
He's been just working with the administration
Yeah.
up until his meeting with us, I believe.
Yeah, well, will they get it into the 22 budget, or 2022 budget?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah,
It's
good.
gonna be pieced, if you will, but he's coming up with the
Good,
whole
Yeah.
presentation, the whole
Okay.
proposal, and then they'll be trying to do
Good.
things
Yeah.
as it goes on. But
yeah,
he was pointing out it'll be easier for the townspeople if they can see what the plans are completely. that
Yes.
It's easier to embrace
yeah.
different components of
Yeah.
it as you go through the
Yeah.
process of
Yeah.
completing it.
Karen, this is the sidewalk, we're talking about the sidewalk on Elgara Drive that runs from the high school out to Route 3. And there's a gap in that sidewalk. There's some sidewalk there, but there's a piece missing. And that's what we're talking about here. We're trying to make a loop, a continuous loop of sidewalk that would go all the way around the high school and back out onto Route 3 and then back to the town hall.
Because of Woodbury is part of that, right?
Well, not really. Woodbury is kind of a separate, it goes the other
Oh.
direction.
Oh, I see.
But Elgara Drive runs parallel to the Effie Everett Turnpike from the high school out to Route 3. If you,
But the sidewalk would go to Babuzik Lake.
yes,
You
it
keep
would.
on saying Route 3.
Oh,
We're
I'm
not gonna
sorry.
be out on the highway.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that, this is
Woodbury,
not-
Woodbury does fit into the whole package, though. It's not part of the loop that
I
Nelson's
see.
talking
Yes,
about,
I
but
yeah.
see.
it
So
it
it's
was a
like
path
this road
that,
here, this
Mhm.
perpendicular road, there's the route, old Route 3, DW Highway, and this
Mhm.
perpendicular road, Babuzik Lake,
Mhm.
has an entrance to the high school,
Oh, okay.
and there's a sidewalk that we're proposing to make continuous.
okay, that's, yeah. You get familiar, it's in that report. Then let's turn to discussions then of the old business on the agenda. And the next item is the status of the Woodbury Street sidewalk. Kyle was good enough to write it up for me, so but maybe you just give verbally
Sure,
where we are with that.
I'd be happy to.
This is our good news,
this is good news.
yes, yes.
So the project is nearing completion. Remaining work on the project includes placing some bituminous curbing, placing the final course of pavement on the sidewalk, They've got 1 inch down already, 1 inch to go. We're gonna pave a new wearing course on Woodbury Street itself. And we've got to finish some ditch line work and some slope work, and then finish up with project cleanup. And I would think within the next couple of weeks, we'll be substantially done.
Yeah.
The weather cooperated, huh?
It certainly did.
Yeah.
It's been a more complicated project than
It looks really good.
originally anticipated.
It looks
but-
really good.
But we're really proud of it.
Yeah, came out nice.
Dawn and her team have done a great job.
And there was some improvements beyond just the sidewalk, right?
There were,
Drainage
yeah.
and-
We did a number of drainage improvements in there at the same time. Long-standing drainage issues, dating back. Woodbury is obviously a very, very old street in town,
Mhm.
and there was old clay water line that we unearthed. The combined drainage and sewer system was found. That's no longer intact, but it was still carrying drainage.
Was the water
Um,
line actually carrying water?
Yeah, Yeah.
So they put PVC in there or something?
they
Clay?
did, yeah.
With clay?
Yeah, so they found, lots of, whenever you're working on these kind of old roads, DigSafe doesn't find everything.
Yeah,
And the contractor found a couple of things,
yeah,
one of which required the water to be shut off to the high school
Yeah.
in the evening. MVD went out and did an emergency repair
yeah.
that evening,
Oh.
so, yeah, it was as the contractor says, just a sidewalk project,
Yeah.
but it's always so much
It's
more.
always so much
Yeah.
more. Right?
But we're really thrilled with how it came out, and
Yeah.
can't
yeah.
wait for it to officially open.
Yeah. What do they replace clay pipe with nowadays?
They use PVC or HDPE.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old was clay pipe? What time frame did they use that, the clay?
Oh, boy, I don't
Long
even know.
time ago.
Yeah, long time ago.
You don't make them anymore.
No, no. And was the combination wastewater, rain, drainage, all going into the system? Or was it?
So it was no longer a combined
It was
sewer.
okay, they had
Sewer
separated.
had been rerouted many years ago, but it was never properly rebuilt, the drainage component of it.
Okay,
So some of it outlet to ground, some
Yep.
of it didn't. It was just underneath the road somewhere. So Dawn and Jeff put in a lot of research, and our wastewater group too with the camera,
Yeah.
to really find out where this stuff is and where it goes. We found a manhole that's been buried for God knows how long under pavement. So lot of great improvement in the area,
perfect.
and
That's
it'll
great.
help McElwain Street and Bishop Street going forward. Because we've had issues there that we've been battling for years and just haven't been able to resolve, and this project kind of gave us the ability to.
Yeah.
So-
Good.
What drainage issues up on Bishop, or what were the issues on Bishop and?
Because the water would back up,
Yeah, because it wasn't getting out, yeah.
because it wasn't
That's
getting
what I
out
thought you were
properly.
saying.
Yep.
Yep.
So, great project all
Perfect.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's great.
Archaeological. We should have got the historical people in
Oh,
here.
jeez. Oh, no.
Thankfully, no federal money on
Well,
this project.
fortunately.
That's why it's almost complete.
Great point.
When it's your own money, you can work at your own pace.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Kyle, that's
My
great.
pleasure.
Questions for
Excellent.
Kyle on the status of Woodbury Street? I go down there at least once a week, I've been watching the progress. And I wondered if that green stuff that they use for grass now, I mean, it's got seed in it. Is that gonna work in this kind of weather? I just,
So often times it will germinate in the spring.
it will
Yeah.
wait till spring
Yeah.
to really
If
sprout,
if it doesn't, we'll have the contractor
yeah.
come back out and spray it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, looking good. We'll have to have a formal, maybe we should have too bad Nick isn't here. We could have a formal opening and dedication of the sidewalk.
Maybe at the December meeting.
Okay, December meeting.
We're not quite done yet.
In all seriousness, though, have we been filming or taking any pictures?
Nick and his
Yes.
crew have been.
Yes,
Good.
yeah, he's been aware of it, we've kept
Because I
him.
mean, December, you could have snow, you know.
Yeah, Dawn has
Swell.
hundreds of
Yeah,
pictures.
good.
Yeah.
I spoke with Justin just before the meeting, and he offered to come with us if we wanted to take a walk today, because I tacked that on the end of the agenda. And if we want, he can come and take some pictures of us walking on it, so we can get our faces in the on the TV. Okay, let's leave that and go on to the Sauhegan River Trail, long-awaited Sauhegan River Trail.
Yes,
Kyle's got a
the
report.
federal money river trail.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So, Dawn reported last month that we were waiting for approval on a contract amendment, design contract
Yes.
amendment.
Yes,
We're still waiting on that, for DOT to approve that contract amendment. And, what that would do is allow our consultant to move forward with the design that's required to accommodate the wetland permit. You may recall that the original design that was approved through the feasibility study created sort of a causeway over the former impoundment area between the fire station and the wooded area. DES will not accept that as an option, and they're requiring an elevated boardwalk. So to redesign all that, of course, it takes time and money. So that's the point of the contract amendment, is to
yeah.
allow that 80-20 split for town and state funding to have the consultant do that design work, so that we can move forward and obtain a wetland permit and then continue on with the final design of the project. The good news is our consultant is coming down on Tuesday, and we're gonna have a site walk with a new DOT project manager.
The old
Where-
one's retired. He started in this when he was a boy.
Yes.
20 years old, right? Just out of college.
It seems that way. So yes, and we've been unofficially told that we may have the contract amendment approved as early as next week.
Really?
So
Well,
that would be
yeah,
some great news
yeah.
to get some progress on that.
Is
And
the,
that's my report.
is the $1.2 trillion infrastructure money gonna help us on anything that we talk about in here, like the bridge and potential connection to Watson Park and?
I think the short answer, Bill, is it's gonna help us with all of our projects. So for example, the River Trail project, when we redesign the boardwalk, it's gonna cost about $200,000 more, and DOT doesn't have that money programmed. So we haven't figured that piece out yet, but with the new federal money coming in, that kinda eases DOT up a little bit. They're not so strapped statewide on all of their projects. So I anticipate that helping, and I was gonna mention that on the US 3 project as well. Will it help with our pedestrian bridge? Maybe. We don't have a breakdown yet of what is coming into the state. But hopefully it'll help. I mean, it has to help.
Yeah, good. It might hopefully pull some things in.
Yeah.
If there's workers to do the work.
That's an issue, for sure.
Yeah,
Kyle, did you say that
Finley.
the way we have to do going over that little tributary from the previous impoundment, that's gonna add $200,000 to the
Correct.
project?
That estimated.
Oh my gosh. That sidewalk was just in Woodbury was $200,000.
No,
The sidewalk itself, the drainage and other stuff added some cost to that, but yes,
It's a wooden bridge going over That makes no sense to me. I'm telling you right out of the gate, that makes no sense to me.
Well, join the club.
Because that project went from 200,000 before as a federal project, 250, I can't remember,
Yeah.
to 550, now to 750?
It's, I don't have the
On-
exact number off the top of my head,
The
but
total is, is
Yeah.
up there, yeah. This thing has escalated exponentially since its inception. But the latest thing that what Kyle is talking about right now is we have a whole design for the whole works, including the sidewalk repair on Route 3 and the underpass
Right.
and all of that. But crossing the former wetland, which was flooded back in the day when the dam was there.
Mm-hmm.
Before the dam was removed, that was wet, was actually water
Right.
stood there.
I fished in it.
But without the dam, the water level dropped 6 feet and hasn't been wet since. But we were gonna just make a trail across it. And we had a culvert. There is one little drainage stream through there, and we had a little pipe culvert or something in there. And that was the way we submitted the design. Then they decided, the wetland people decided that once you're a wetland, you're always a wetland. And so we had to treat it as if it were wetland, even though there's no water. The water's 6 feet down now.
Right.
And so that's what brought this about, this particular delay and change and added scope.
and I
Alright.
guess the only thing I would add commentary to on that is the boardwalk concept is something that was originally brought up by this committee many years ago,
Yeah,
with Deb Huffman and Peter Flood.
yes.
And it's a concept that they wanted,
Mhm.
and we couldn't afford, and we knew
Yeah.
that, so we didn't go with that. In fact, Peter wanted some sort of little bridge to go over that, rather than a culvert. and
Japanese style.
That was
Yeah.
the style he had recommended.
yeah.
Yep, exactly right.
That's right.
So although the 200,000 is a lot of money, the product that we would get out of it is gonna look spectacular. It's not wood, it's to limit, disruption to the wetland. We have to use helical piles, which are, screw piles.
Okay, yeah.
And the contractor's gonna have to build it as they go, so they stay above the wetland. But it's a, I forget if it's aluminum or galvanized steel helical piles, but then there's concrete, struts or beams,
Mm-hmm.
and then some sort of deck that may be wood or some composite material. And there'll be some handrails. So it's gonna be a really, beautiful piece of architecture for the town, and I'm really excited about it, and I hope it comes to fruition.
Very
But it
good.
does come with a hefty price tag.
As long as we're in the funding, I suppose, the 80/20 or what have you, so,
Definitively, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be the 80/20 share,
okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Where do you hear how much 20 is?
It'd be a great place for the town council to go down there and get a picture taken with the,
And I don't do
the
pictures.
water-
Nelson's talking about pictures tonight. I try and avoid that.
Okay, any other discussion of that? And if not, we've gone to the videotaping. Most of this was under Nicholas. I know Nicholas has been working, Nicholas and his crew have been working videotaping the construction. So they've made a few passes down there as these, I don't know if they got the clay pipe or not, but they, maybe it's just as well they didn't. But they've been on top of it, and as I said, if anybody wants to take a walk today, we can take a walk down there, and they'll, Justin will take care of us. Any questions or comments on that? And I guess Nicholas is still working on the town center video, and The only other open item on Kyle's list was the Route 3 Babusick Lake Road. Route 3 and Babusick Brook Bridge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Road,
Nelson.
not the road.
So this is the US 3 bridge over Babusick Brook that's up by Pinenberg's in the MYA building. It's a project that we've been working on design-wise for a little while now.
Yeah.
And we're actually in the, we got the go-ahead from DOT earlier this year to move into final design on the project. So that's what we're currently working on. As I mentioned before, on the River Trail project, we have we're meeting Tuesday on that project. We're also meeting on this project because that new project manager is also taking over this one.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look at both projects. So that'll be a good thing to do. The other thing we're gonna do on Tuesday, we've also scheduled a meeting with the utility companies to meet on site at the US 3 bridge.
Yeah.
And that's in an effort, you guys may recall, both time delays and cost increases that we incurred on the Bedford Road Bridge because of utility delays, utility relocation delays and difficulties. So we're trying to really get out in front on this and get the utility companies to commit to a plan.
Yeah.
On the Bedford Road Bridge, we had a plan, and then like 7 people retired from Eversource, and the new person from each new person had a different idea.
Uh-huh.
So we want to get this one nailed down and say, this is it, this is what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah.
It will be a significant relocation, because we have to probably move all the wires twice, and there's a lot of wires in that corridor. We'll have to move them once to get them out of the way so they can construct the temporary bridge and take out the old bridge. And then once everything is done, they'll remove the temporary bridge and then put the wires back as a final step of the project. So we're gonna have a coordination meeting with the utility companies Tuesday.
Yeah. Now, is that just electric, or is there gas involved, or are there other utilities?
So there's underground utilities, we have gas and water
Yeah.
underground, the rest is aerial.
Yeah.
It's, of course, it's Eversource, Comcast, and Consolidated, but there's also some private carriers on that line as well,
Yeah,
on the utility poles.
yeah,
Um,
cable and that sort of thing.
Fiber optic,
But, yeah.
and I'm not sure everyone who's on it at this point. That's what, they're all licensed through Eversource. So
Yeah.
Eversource,
Okay, so
works
there's one
with
place to
them
work.
to
Okay.
get them to do their
Yeah.
job, but Eversource doesn't do the work for them.
Yeah,
They just say, and it starts top down.
yeah. the
Eversource
power.
is the first one to
Yeah.
move,
Yeah,
and then Comcast,
yeah,
then Consolidated,
yeah.
and then on down the line as it
Down-
goes.
Down the pole, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Funding for this project continues to be a concern. I think we've reported this before, that we've got a budget shortfall in this project as well. Town council some months ago approved us to do a study, a cost-benefit analysis study
Mhm.
for the purpose of trying to obtain FEMA BRIC funding, which is Building
Yeah.
Resilient Infrastructure in Communities
Mhm.
funding. We're well along in that process. It doesn't look at this point favorable, in that we kind of got a mixed message from FEMA originally, and now they're telling us that the entire project needs to be taken into account on that, the BCA, not just the funding shortfall part. So we continue to work with the safety folks who coordinate with FEMA and DOT, and if necessary, we'll try and go over their heads directly to FEMA to see if we can get some support on that.
Yeah,
To Bill's point earlier, this is a project that could be significantly helped by the new infrastructure bill, because DOT will have more money in the bridge program. So I think one way or another, DOT will be able to get the funding. We just don't have it dedicated
Yeah.
yet.
And what year are we talking about there?
Yeah. Construction is
25.
still scheduled for 2024, 2025.
25, yeah,
So a few years out.
yeah,
But we hope to get the,
that's nearby.
yeah, it comes quick.
At the rate
Yeah.
it's going.
So we hope to have the design done sometime next year and get through the cultural resources process, which we know can be agonizing.
Yes, yeah, way,
I imagine the historic folks are gonna have
They're
a lot of
chomping at the bit.
requirements between the archaeological stuff in the area, the Pinenberg property, which is obviously very old.
Yeah,
A lot of old features there. So I suspect that to be a significant effort.
yeah.
But we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah. You said you were coordinating with the safety folks, and I'm not, in addition to DOT, and who are the
So-
safety?
Yeah, so DOT works with Federal Highway.
Yeah,
It's New Hampshire Department of Emergency Management. Sorry, not safety.
oh,
Emergency management folks work with FEMA.
yeah.
So it's those
That's Mark
folks.
Doyle, right?
I'm not sure
Yeah,
which
okay,
department he
okay,
works for.
yeah, okay.
But it's not Mark that we're working with.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
It's a
okay.
different,
Yeah,
different division
okay,
if
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
But yeah, so it's the safety folks at the state
yeah,
that coordinate, that we work through to get to FEMA. Just
Okay,
as
yeah.
the same way, it's
Oh.
federal highway money,
yeah,
but we work with DOT.
DOT, but DOT isn't involved in this bridge?
No, they certainly are.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're on our side for this, obviously, because we share the budget shortfall.
yeah,
And they obviously want this project to happen.
yeah,
And so they're gonna hopefully be supportive of us
good,
when we go to
Yeah.
the safety folks
yeah,
and the FEMA folks
yeah,
to help. Because if we got the FEMA funding, it would help DOT quite a bit as well.
yeah, yeah,
And allow them to reallocate money that was dedicated to this project into some of their other needs.
yeah.
So,
Was there ever any thought to to combining the Wire Road intersection with the bridge construction?
Yep, there was.
Do it
There
as
was,
one project, yeah.
there was quite a bit of thought on that and discussion. And in the end, DOT couldn't find a way to combine the funding because it's two separate funding sources.
Yeah,
So the Wire Road project is still in the 10-year plan.
yeah,
We have not started a design for it
yeah,
yet, because it's some years out. I think it's out in 27, 28.
yeah. It seems like it would just make so much sense to
Mhm.
design the whole thing at once. The
It
new
would.
bridge and the new intersection with Wire Road and Route
Yeah.
3 and, yeah,
And maybe we should revisit that with,
Yeah.
again, with the new infrastructure money. Maybe they have more flexibility.
yeah,
Part of it was they had different construction years,
yeah,
and they couldn't move Wire Road up
yeah,
because they simply didn't have the money to.
yeah.
And we don't want to push the bridge project out because
No,
it is
we
a
don't,
red
I
list
don't wanna,
bridge.
I don't
Right.
wanna undo
Yeah.
anything, but it seems to me it would just,
It certainly bears revisiting,
Yeah.
and we can do that.
yeah, yeah, okay. Karen?
Yeah, I have a question. So, because it's a red list bridge and we don't want to risk what's already been committed to it. But one of the reasons that, I mean, it's just such a dangerous bridge because there's essentially no shoulder
Right.
on either side. A person walking would have trouble staying next to the railing outside the solid line. You kind of have to gauge it and then walk real quick and forget bicycling over that bridge. It's just too dangerous.
Well, they're
And
doing
it's
it,
so
yeah,
well
yeah,
used. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So I'm just want to make sure that at least they're widening this red list bridge, they're widening the shoulders enough so a pedestrian or bicyclist, single file, could safely cross without having oncoming traffic coming right in their face.
So I have a great answer for you.
Oh, good. I love that.
Occasionally I get to. So the existing bridge is about a 24-foot arch span that's buried. It looks like an at-grade crossing. It doesn't look like a bridge, but it is buried. The new bridge is going to be about 90 feet long because we've got to widen the channel, and that, due to flood reasons. And that's where the FEMA money comes into play, because by making the proper channel for Babusick Brook where it's constricted now,
Yeah.
it's going to lower flood levels, it's going to lower flood velocities. So that's where the
So they're gonna widen
building
the
resilient
channel.
infrastructure component comes in. So yeah, so it's going to be a bona fide bridge. It'll look a lot like the Bedford Road Bridge that we just completed. It will have sidewalks on both sides. So there's a
Cool.
significant widening to the bridge as well.
Regardless of where, how the construction's gonna go as far as Wire Road is concerned or whatever, but just the Babusick Bridge, the new one, will have sidewalks
On both sides,
on both sides.
correct.
Definitely needed.
Yep.
Nice- Good to hear.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that was a big priority for the town that we carried through to DOT and
Yeah.
said that it had to be, and they were supportive of it.
Good, thank you.
I'm gonna be heading out, Nelson, but
Yeah.
one quick thing. I think if we could at our next meetings, maybe have a map for Karen, because where she's so brand new.
Yeah.
We're talking about bridges, and you may know where they are, I don't wanna assume otherwise, but in case, people were wondering, it might be easier to point it out.
He did give me a map
Oh.
from the plan.
Look
you
at that,
know,
so-
the-
He was ahead of me, I apologize.
It's a tiny little map. She needs a magnifying glass.
Well, perfect, yeah, cause I'm knowing all the roads
Do we
burned
have-
into my mind,
Do we
but
have the big one that we?
Yeah, that's-
I have a copy downstairs.
Yeah.
if it's easy enough.
Yeah,
might
I
be.
can do that, and I'll prepare exhibits for next time.
All right.
Great comment, thank you.
I apologize, I'm scooting. But
Okay,
It's great to see
thanks,
everybody. Welcome
thanks for
on board.
coming.
Send my best to her.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Karen. Take care.
And best wishes for Laurie. Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, that's the end of the bridge business. And we talked about the letters already to the town council. The Chamberlain Road to Merrimack. Oh, yes, the TAP grant for Chamberlain, for a sidewalk that falls outside of our jurisdiction, but we're just interested because it all fits together, of running a sidewalk between Rite Aid, basically, to Merrimack 360 Shopping Center along Route 3 on the east side of Route 3. It's a little bit out of our jurisdiction.
side.
On the west side, absolutely, west, sorry. So anything new there, Kyle?
Yeah, thank you, Nelson. Nothing new on that, just as a recap. The Transportation Alternatives Program, the TAP program.
Yeah,
Is what would fund this project. We were, of 40 projects that were submitted this year, 13 were selected for funding. We were number 8 on that list. Dawn did a great job of putting the application package
Yeah.
together, and of course it stems, again, from the work of this committee originally, which makes our
Yeah.
job easy to put an application together, because the
Yeah.
need is there. So where it stands now is similar to where it's been. We were notified a couple months ago that our project was selected for funding. It is moving forward into the draft 10-year plan, state,
Yeah.
that's the state transportation plan, Karen. We won't hear anything officially until about next June of 2022. That's when we expect to get our official approval letter for the grant. And at that point is when the project really starts. We go through the consultant selection process, and then once we have a consultant, then we start the design work.
okay.
But we're really excited about the project. It's a combined federal town funding project. Again, 80% federal, 20% town, and it's a $1.25 million project. So the cap for the federal funding per town was $1 million. So we said, if we're gonna go through this effort, as we've seen with the river trail,
Yeah.
we may as well maximize those dollars.
Right,
And
yeah,
so we asked for the full $1 million.
yeah, yeah,
And we got the award, so.
yeah,
Good.
It'll extend, previous projects which were under what the program used to be called the TE program, or Transportation Enhancements Program. So the sidewalk, across from Lobster Boat, down to Buckley's, that
Yeah.
whole area was done through the TE program. So they'll look very similar to those sidewalks.
good.
Granite curbs? They're so much nicer.
They are, yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
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 I'm nervous about Woodbury Street when the plow hits that curb.
Oh, we have bituminous curb all over town, and it holds up well. It scars a little bit. Obviously doesn't
Well, if they
hold
put
up
it
as well
down,
as
if they
granite.
put it down first and then put a layer up
That's-
to it,
that's
it
why we're-
holds it.
That's why we're doing an overlay. Yep. And I can show you that when we get out there.
You plow it you plow the sidewalk with the snow plow, right?
Correct.
Yes, you
I'm
push it.
talking the
Oops,
street,
sidewalk
I'm
machine.
talking the street though, Nelson.
Yeah. Okay, you do the street first, then you
No,
come
no,
back.
no, but I'm talking damage to the curb from the,
Right.
I
from
know,
the
I
activity
know,
on the
I knew
street.
exactly what you meant, and I share your concern, I think.
But there is a technique where you put I call it, do they call it Cape Cod berm or something like that, Cape Cod?
That's a style, but yeah.
And then you put your new pavement, so essentially your curb's down and your new pavement's up a certain amount of inches, and that holds it, it makes it stronger.
Yeah,
And when we get out there, you'll see we have two different kinds of curbs out there. We had to use a different one on the sidewalk side because we didn't, because of the wetland impacts, we couldn't put our normal 3-foot panel, which separates vehicles from the pedestrians. So we had to do more of a vertical curb, which is normally where we'd go to granite, but we couldn't afford it on this project. So we used a steep bituminous curb mold on that side. On the north side is our regular standard bituminous curb. So you'll see that difference when we get out there.
The older it gets, the stronger it gets too.
huh?
It gets
Like
harder.
you.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
Good.
yeah. Once the oils and stuff get out of it, it gets harder.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll perform well. I'm confident.
Tell the guys plowing to stay about a foot away from it.
Will do.
okay, is there anything else that anybody would like to bring up at this meeting that it ends our agenda items? If you have any.
Next meeting?
We should set a time for a next meeting. Do you wanna meet in December, or November's almost done here, but we could talk about meeting before the
I say we
holiday?
don't meet in December. A lot of things going on.
You're busy, yeah.
No, I mean, just in general.
Yeah,
I mean, other committees that I'm involved in aren't meeting in December.
I have nothing to really say that we would need to be here for. I think Woodbury Street will be done and quiet, and just what Kyle's working on. He doesn't really need us.
I don't anticipate any significant updates in the
Yeah.
next month.
All right, then let's talk about January. See if I've got a January calendar here. Yeah, no, 22. No, my calendar doesn't go into January, but I've got a calendar here. So, let's see what we got. Oh, 4, 9. So December was. And January is we've got 7, 14, 21, and 28. Those are the Fridays. Any particular thing, mid-month, go January 15?
No, the 14th.
14th would be
Oh,
the
14,
Friday.
sorry, yeah. Is that all right?
It's fine, yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
14th.
Sure.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to
Second.
adjourn.
May I ask,
Okay,
may I ask a question?
you sure may,
Is Fraser Square in our purview?
certainly is.
Has anybody looked at that tree in front of the flower shop?
It's in the Fraser Square,
Yeah.
in the island. Well, it gets bigger every year, doesn't it?
It does.
Is that what you're talking about, the
Yeah.
size of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't had any discussions of it. I guess, it would be the DPW that would have to do that, and we'd need I'm sure they'd need some approval from the council, and, it'll probably be controversial.
What are we talking about, chopping it down?
I don't know,
think
just,
that's
just
yeah.
trimming it even.
Yeah, it's hard to trim something like that.
Yeah, it's a little late for trimming, it's huge.
Are we offline or online?
We're still online, we're still in a meeting, and we're discussing whether we'll put this on the agenda for next month, when everybody's here,
That's fine.
okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
and seconded by Cummings,
Bill and Bill.
okay, good, Bill squared. Any discussion of the motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstaining? None, all in favor.
we going over to the sidewalk?
We,
Anyone who wants to.